first official Thanksgiving was proclaimed in 1637 by Governor Winthrop. He did so to celebrate the safe return of the men from Massachusetts who had gone to Mystic, Connecticut to participate in the massacre of over 700 Pequot women, children, and men.
Hi, we're here in Plymouth, Massachusetts, where today we'll be commemorating the Day of Mourning, where Native, Indigenous, and tourists from all over the country will come and learn a different view of a popular national holiday known as Thanksgiving. People talk about New England, of course, they mention Paul Revere and, of course, the Battle of Lexington, but they don't mention the Indigenous. Why is that?
Well, it's because they've written the history books, and that's why we're here, is to try to get a little bit of our history brought into it. And I think we've been pretty successful.
And this is now, I understand, the 38th year that this has been the National Day of Mourning?
Yes, this is the 38th year that 38th time we've gathered on the Hill. We started in 1970, and this is one of the most beautiful days as far as weather that we've had in a long time. Last year we got soaked.
In your speech, you mentioned the 95 million Native Americans or indigenous people. Could you tell us what you mean by that?
The estimates are that North and South America was occupied by about 100 million indigenous people at the time of Columbus's voyage in 1492. And less than 10 years later, 95% of those people were dead from either, most of them from disease, but also from warfare. The 100 million people in 1492 is roughly 1/5 of the world's total population.
Now, you mentioned this man named Popeye. Could you tell us a little about this individual?
Popeye was a religious leader at Okeawinge, which was a village along the banks of the Rio Grande in what is now New Mexico. And he led the first Pueblo revolt in 1680, which was a revolt to chase the Spanish out of New Mexico and restore sovereignty and religious freedom.
Where does this person rank with the other great Native American leaders like King Philip, Tecumseh, and Crazy Horse?
Well, all of them have their place in history. Popeye is responsible literally for saving our culture and our language and our sovereign rights. And because of Popeye, because of the Pueblo Revolt, the success of the Pueblo Revolt, the Pueblo people in New Mexico still live on the land that we have lived on for generations, going back to way before contact. We still have a very high literacy rate in our language. We have our traditions, our culture, our ceremonies intact after 500 years, and that's mostly due to the Pueblo Revolt and the success of the Pueblo Revolt and Popeye.
We are deeply alarmed by the existence of vigilante groups such as the Minutemen and by the U.S. government's multi-billion-dollar project to build a wall separating the U.S. from Mexico. As indigenous peoples, we have no borders. This government is descended from immigrants who came here and took our lands and resources either by force, coercion, or dishonesty, and banned the religions, languages, and cultures of the original indigenous peoples of this continent. In the various discussions of so-called illegal immigrants, the experts always ignore America's own Holocaust directed against African and Native peoples, carried out by uninvited foreigners who came to these shores and took everything they could.
Today marks the 30th annual historical event that American history books Hollywood never talks to you about, except you'll learn by the people who have experienced it. For Rebel Media, I'm Ismael Nunez.